Yo, what's going on, guys? Pineapple Slayer, bringing you guys. Suicide Squad is not as bad as you think, part 2. A lot of you guys wanted part 2, and I might even do part 3 if this video gets as much views and, I guess, engagement as the last. As always, please consider liking and subscribing. Today we're going to be diving into a different topic, as a lot of you guys were asking me what is so good about this game, because, last episode I didn't really get to elaborate. I just talked more about the negatives and the flaws, but said, hey, this game isn't as bad as a lot of people think, or as a lot of you guys think. Today we're gonna be talking about the positives, starting with I would say the best part of this game. I would say is the game's looter shooter aspect, and that revolves around the loadouts and the gear system, and just the gear items in general. The design team absolutely killed it when it came to the gear. The gear, the looter shooter elements, and really the Paragon system is probably this game's best aspect, and it really sets it apart from a lot of other live service titles, in my opinion. Obviously, you have the right to disagree, but honestly, in my opinion, where this game shines is the notorious gear, the infamous gear, and really that entire system. It really pulls something that I haven't really seen from looter shooter games, and it's really unique in my opinion, and it kind of makes this game stand out from, I would say, other live service titles in my opinion. I really love the notorious infamous system. It's really really unique, and I think it's honestly the best part of this game, and as it should, because this is a live service looter shooter. So obviously, the looter shooter element should be the best, and in my opinion, that is where this game succeeds at. Another aspect I would say that is really really good is, to some capacity, it's the DC lore. Exploring the DC lore and learning about these characters, such as the Justice League, Brainiac, and the Suicide Squad, is very underrated in my opinion. Yes, does it get overshadowed because of the game's lackluster story? Most definitely, but they really, I would say, did really well with the codex, with audio logs, with a lot of things that not a lot of people are going to check because, honestly, like me, not a lot of people really care about codex and audio logs, but just sort of exploring Metropolis for what it is, learning about what these characters have been through, learning about their lore, learning about their story. Um, it's a lot of fun, especially at the beginning of the game when you go to the Hall of Justice and you just sort of learn about what the Justice League has been through, and you really get these nice character deep dives about what the Justice League brings to the table. And it shows just really just a lot of good storytelling. And like what I said, I even talked about it last episode. As really the first three chapters are the best part of the game, but that beginning segment, where we really get to learn what the Justice League's made of, is one of the best elements in my opinion. Obviously, later in the story, it takes a turn for the worse, but hey, it is what it is. We're not here to talk about that today. Another thing that I've thoroughly enjoyed about this game, and this is just my own personal opinion, but I would say the boss fights were a lot of fun. Now, I will say the Batman boss fight was a big disappointment, but I would say that like base game boss fights. Now, I'm not gonna Brainiac boss fights or whatever. That's a whole different discussion to talk about another day because um, I'm not a fan of the Brainiac boss fights. I'm just not. I understand them and what they stand for the game, but in my opinion, I'm not a fan of the Brainiac boss fights. But I'm not gonna sit here and lie and say that the Flash boss fight was a lot of fun. Green Lantern's boss fight, in my opinion, is the best boss fight in the game. That might be a crazy statement to say, but they killed it with Green Lantern's boss fight, in my opinion. And then even Superman's boss fight was just a ton of fun. Um, the building to the boss fights was really really weak. Um, so there is that. I would say the Flash kind of has the best build up to his boss fight, just because there was really a lot, and it kind of felt like a game of cat and mouse when you were trying to catch the Flash. Because I mean, the Flash was really with us from kind of the beginning till his end, which was a really nice touch, seeing the Flash go from, you know, this great hero that we once knew to this insane, terrifying villain that's now causing mayhem on the city of Metropolis. And he really had he oddly enough, it's funny because he kind of had a three-chapter build-up, while the rest of the villains, technically heroes, only had about half a chapter of build-up. It really would have been really nice to get these characters established for their boss fights like the Flash did, but obviously I understand the story was changed left and right and things were cut. But like what I said, I really enjoyed the boss fights. I didn't enjoy Brainiac, or I didn't enjoy Batman's boss fight, and like what I said, I'm not a fan of Brainiac's boss fights because those boss fights just come across lazy in my opinion. But understanding that this is a live service title, um, even Rocksteady themselves said in the article that they even struggled to make repeatable boss fights and find incentives to make repeatable boss fights. And honestly, too, to give Rocksteady the benefit of the doubt, they've never really been good at making good boss fights because that was apparent in the Arkham series with the constant relay of tank battles and just same format boss fights, which is okay. There's nothing wrong with it, but I will give credit where credit is due. I did love and enjoy the Flash, Superman, and Green Lantern boss fights, but Batman and Brainiac, that's a whole other discussion. Um, Something else that I would really like to bring up as a positive, and people don't want to bring this up because it involves money, but I will say that this game having no FOMO and the battle passes never expire is something that every future live service game, or any game that implements battle passes or a player market or not necessarily a player market, but I guess a store, in-game store, should follow. I mean, you can buy the same costumes that came out, when the game first launched, still to this day, and you will probably be able to for the game's entire cycle. And with the battle passes never expire, you never have the fear of losing out or missing out on something. Like, for example, a lot of games, like Multiverses, for example, Fortnite, those battle passes expire, or the store constantly refreshes. Now, we know in Rocksteady's original plan, they wanted to provide us with weekly updates to the store. Would that have led to, items disappearing from the shop? We really don't know. But from what we have, it's amazing. And it's something that not a lot of people bring up, which I would say is a big positive for any live service game. And future live service titles should follow Rocksteady's formula because we don't have to worry about these items disappearing. So it doesn't feel like our money was entirely wasted, because $10 could be a pretty steep step, especially when you've already paid $70 or $100 for this game. So just to have that satisfaction of, hey, I can buy this whenever I please, or I can finish this battle pass whenever I want, is a huge benefit to anyone. And it's helps if you don't have much time to play the game, or if you just log in and play occasionally. It's a really good benefit. Um, Obviously, games in general shouldn't have battle passes or shouldn't have in-game stores, but like what I said earlier, you gotta give credit where credit is due. And the last thing that I will talk about that is a positive that I like about this game is the constant change of mutators. And what I mean by that is when a new episode comes out, there's new mutators, which gives the game a sense of, we don't have to run this one thing. It's not, you know, always going to be this one thing. There's a sense of, freshness to this game, that stuff is always changing, which gives us players new things to try out, which gives the game replayability. Like, for example, the Arkham games had, they had they had the story, the basic story, and then New Game Plus. Um, like this game, it doesn't have a New Game Plus necessarily, but it's nice to get a fresh change of pace with the mutators and different meta changes from Brainiac each season and each episode. So that about sums it up, the positives of this game, and to why I think Suicide Squad is not as bad as people claim. Obviously, could have hit on a lot more things, but I try to limit these videos to 10 minutes, and I'll probably make a top or part 3, maybe even a part 4, or just talk about my negatives, since I know a lot of you guys want to hear that, and hopefully you guys are actually listening to what I'm saying instead of commenting something stupid just because I had a lot of that in the last episode. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's Pineapple Sway. Peace out.